The glass doors of Stellar Lux slid open with a soft whoosh, letting in the warm air from Neo Angelis's busy streets. Amanda Walsh looked up from polishing a crystal display case and watched as a man stepped inside. Her smile disappeared quickly. The man was around 50 years old, maybe older. His dark hair had streaks of gray and he wore simple clothes. Just a plain black shirt, dark jeans, and worn boots. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive looking. Amanda rolled her eyes and went back to her cleaning. Stellar Lux was not for people like him. This store sold the finest things in the galaxy. Real Earth artifacts that cost more than most people made in a year. Rich colonists from Mars came here. Wealthy traders from Jupiter's moons shopped here. Important people with important money. Not random guys in old clothes. The man walked slowly through the store, looking at everything with quiet interest. He stopped at a display of ancient Earth books, reading the small signs that explained each one. Then he moved to a case full of jewelry from the old world. His eyes were calm and thoughtful. Amanda watched him from across the room. She had worked at Stellar Lux for 3 years. She knew how to spot real customers from window shoppers. Real customers walked in wearing expensive suits. They carried platinum credit cards. They talked loudly about their ships and their homes on distant planets. This man was different. Too quiet. Too simple. Too poor-looking. Ben Carter, the other salesperson, noticed the man too. Ben was younger than Amanda and much nicer to customers. He started walking toward the stranger, but Amanda held up her hand to stop him. "I'll handle this one," she said with a mean smile. Amanda walked over to where the man stood looking at a vintage motorcycle. It was a beautiful machine from Earth's past, all chrome and black leather. The price tag said 50,000 galactic credits. "Can I help you?" Amanda asked, but her voice was cold. The man looked at her and smiled gently. "Yes, please. This motorcycle is very interesting. Is it really from old Earth?" "It is," Amanda said, crossing her arms. "But I should tell you it's very expensive. Maybe you'd be more comfortable looking at our window displays instead." The man didn't seem bothered by her rude tone. "I understand it's expensive. I was just curious about its history." Amanda laughed, but it wasn't a nice laugh. "History doesn't pay for things, sir. This piece costs more than most people make in 2 years." "That's quite a lot," the man agreed quietly. "Yes, it is. We get serious collectors in here. People who actually buy things." Amanda's voice got louder. She wanted other customers to hear. Not people who just want to look and dream. A well-dressed woman nearby turned to watch. She was one of Amanda's regular customers, someone who spent thousands of credits every month. Amanda wanted to show off in front of her. The quiet man just nodded. "I see. Well, I don't want to waste your time then." "Good," Amanda said. "There are plenty of cheaper stores in the lower sectors, places more suited for people like you." The man's face didn't change. He stayed calm and polite. "Thank you for the suggestion." He moved away from the motorcycle and walked to another display. This one held old Earth weapons behind thick glass. Swords and guns from humanity's past. Each piece was worth a fortune. Amanda followed him. She wasn't done yet. "Sir, I really think you should leave," she said loudly. "This isn't the right place for you. These items are for serious collectors only." Ben Carter looked uncomfortable from across the room. He wanted to say something, but Amanda was the senior salesperson. She had been there longer. She knew the rules. The man stopped in front of a display case full of military medals, old decorations from Earth's armies and space forces. His eyes seemed to focus on one particular medal, a star-shaped piece of metal with a blue ribbon. "Excuse me," he said softly. "Could you tell me about this medal?" Amanda looked at the display. "That's a hero's star from the old Earth military. Very rare, very expensive. Definitely not something you could afford." "What did someone have to do to earn it?" the man asked. Amanda shrugged. "I don't know. Something brave, I guess. Look, sir, I'm trying to be nice here, but you're making my other customers uncomfortable." She pointed to the well-dressed woman who was still watching. Mrs. Collins comes here every week and spends real money. She doesn't want to shop next to people who can't afford anything. The man looked at Mrs. Collins and nodded politely to her. She seemed surprised by his good manners. I understand, he said to Amanda. I don't want to cause problems. Then maybe you should go, Amanda said. Her voice was getting meaner. There's a discount shop 3 blocks down. They sell fake earth stuff for people on a budget. The man smiled a little. I know that shop. It's a good place. Perfect. Then you know where to go. But the man didn't leave. Instead, he walked to another display case. This one held books. Old books from Earth, bound in real leather and paper. The sign said they were first editions of famous stories. These books are beautiful, he said. Amanda threw her hands up. Sir, those books cost 20,000 credits each. Each book. Do you understand what that means? I think so, the man said calmly. It means they're not for you. Amanda's voice was loud now. Everyone in the store was looking. It means you need to leave and stop wasting everyone's time. Ben Carter finally walked over. Amanda, maybe we should... No, Ben. This man needs to understand how things work. Amanda turned back to the quiet stranger. This is Stellar Lux. We serve the best people in the galaxy. Rich people, important people, not random guys who wander in off the street. The man listened to everything she said. He didn't get angry. He didn't argue back. He just stood there quiet and patient. I apologize if I've bothered anyone, he said finally. You have, Amanda said. So please leave. The man nodded. But instead of walking to the door, he moved to the jewelry counter. Behind the glass sat watches and rings worth more than small spaceships. Actually, he said quietly, I would like to buy something small, if that's all right. Amanda couldn't believe it. This guy wouldn't give up. Fine. She would play along and watch him embarrass himself when he couldn't pay. What did you have in mind? She asked with a fake smile. The man pointed to a simple watch. It was old Earth style with mechanical parts, instead of digital displays. The price tag said 15,000 galactic credits. I'll take that one, he said. Amanda laughed out loud. Right. And how exactly do you plan to pay for it? Do you have 15,000 credits just sitting around? The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a small card. Will this work? I can pay in galactic credits or stellar standard currency. Whatever you prefer. Amanda stared at the card. It looked real, but appearances could fool people. Amanda stared at the payment card in the man's hand. It looked real enough, but she had seen fake cards before. Poor people sometimes tried to trick stores with copies that wouldn't work when scanned. Let me see that, she said, reaching for the card. The man handed it to her politely. Amanda held it up to the light, looking for signs it was fake. The card felt right. It had the correct weight and texture, but that didn't mean anything. Good fakes were hard to spot. Sir, I hope you understand that if this card doesn't work, I'll have to call security, she said loudly. She wanted everyone in the store to hear. Of course, the man said quietly. That would be fair. Mrs. Collins moved closer to watch what would happen. 2 other customers also came over. They were both wealthy traders from the outer colonies. Amanda recognized them as big spenders. Everyone watch this, Amanda announced to the small crowd. This gentleman thinks he can afford a 15,000 credit watch. She held up the payment card like it was evidence in a trial. Some people just don't know their place in the world. They think they can walk into any store and pretend to be something they're not. The man stood quietly through her speech. His face showed no anger or embarrassment. He just waited patiently. Ben, Amanda called to her coworker. Come watch this. You'll learn something about dealing with difficult customers. Ben Carter walked over, but he looked uncomfortable. Amanda, maybe we should just try the card and see what happens. Oh, we will, Amanda said with a mean smile. But first, everyone should understand what's happening here. She turned to address the watching customers. This man has been wasting our time for 20 minutes, looking at things he can't buy, touching displays he has no business near. Mrs. Collins frowned. He seemed polite enough to me. Amanda laughed. Polite doesn't pay for merchandise, Mrs. Collins. Actions matter, not words. She waved the payment card in the air. And this card is probably as fake as his interest in our products. The quiet man finally spoke. I understand your concerns. Would you like to process the payment now? Oh, I will, Amanda said. And when it gets rejected, you'll leave quietly. No arguments, no excuses. Deal? Deal, the man agreed. Amanda walked to the payment terminal with great drama. She wanted everyone to see her prove this man was a fraud. She slid the card through the scanner and waited for the rejection message that would surely come. The terminal beeped once. Then a green light appeared. The screen showed. Payment approved. Amount: 15,000 galactic credits. Thank you for your purchase. Amanda stared at the screen. That couldn't be right. She tried the card again. Same result. Payment approved. The watching customers started to murmur among themselves. Mrs. Collins looked surprised. The two traders exchanged glances. Well, said one of the traders, I guess the card works. Amanda felt her face getting hot. This wasn't supposed to happen. The card was supposed to fail. The man was supposed to leave in shame. But she wasn't finished yet. Fine, she said loudly. So you have some money. That doesn't change anything. She turned to the crowd again. Having 15,000 credits doesn't make someone classy. It doesn't make them belong in a place like this. The man waited patiently for his receipt to print. He didn't seem bothered by Amanda's continued attacks. Some people, Amanda continued, get lucky. Maybe they win a small lottery. Maybe they save up for years just to buy one thing and pretend they're rich. She pointed at the man's simple clothes. But look at him. Does he look like he belongs here? Mrs. Collins shifted uncomfortably. I don't think appearance matters that much. It does, Amanda insisted. Stellar Lux has a reputation. We serve the best people in the galaxy. Important people. Not, she gestured dismissively at the quiet man. Whatever this is. Ben Carter stepped forward. Amanda, he paid for the watch. Maybe we should just... No, Ben. This is a teaching moment. Amanda's voice got louder and nastier. People need to learn their place. Just because someone scrapes together enough money for one purchase doesn't mean they belong with the real customers. She walked closer to the man, who was still waiting calmly for his transaction to complete. You know what I think? I think you spent every credit you had on this watch. I think you'll go home to some tiny apartment in the cheap sector and eat basic food for months to make up for this one purchase. The man looked at her with those same calm eyes. That's an interesting theory. It's not a theory. It's obvious. Amanda turned back to her audience. Real customers don't dress like this. They don't act like this. They come in with confidence because they belong here. One of the trader customers frowned. He seems confident enough to me. Amanda ignored him. She was on a roll now, feeling powerful in front of her audience. Look, I've worked here for 3 years. I know the difference between real customers and pretenders. This man is a pretender. The receipt finally finished printing. Amanda grabbed it and thrust it at the man. Here's your receipt for your one and only purchase. Don't expect to come back anytime soon. The man took the receipt politely. Thank you. And another thing, Amanda continued, not ready to stop her public humiliation of this stranger. Next time you want to shop somewhere fancy, maybe dress, the part first. Get some decent clothes, learn how to act around important people. Mrs. Collins looked shocked. That's quite enough, young lady. But Amanda was beyond listening to anyone. She felt like she was teaching everyone a valuable lesson about standards and proper behavior. The worst part, she announced to the store, is that people like this think they can just walk in anywhere. They don't understand that some places are for better people. Some places have standards. The man folded his receipt carefully and put it in his pocket. Then he looked directly at Amanda for the first time since she started her speech. I appreciate your honesty, he said quietly. It's rare to meet someone who speaks their mind so clearly. Amanda smiled triumphantly. Finally, this man was admitting she was right. Exactly, she said. I believe in being honest. Some people can't handle the truth about themselves. The man nodded thoughtfully. Truth is very important. Just then, the store's front door chimed again. Amanda looked over to see who was coming in. Her smile faded quickly. Richard Hayes, the owner of Stellar Luxe, walked through the door. He was early for his weekly inspection. Richard was a serious man who took his business very seriously. He didn't like problems or drama in his store. Amanda tried to wave at him cheerfully, but Richard wasn't looking at her. His eyes were fixed on something else entirely. He was staring at the quiet man in simple clothes, and Richard's face had gone completely white. Richard Hayes stood frozen in the doorway of his store. His face was pale white, like he had seen a ghost. His hands started to shake slightly as he stared at the quiet man in simple clothes. Amanda noticed her boss's strange reaction but didn't understand it. She walked over to Richard with a big smile on her face. Mr. Hayes, perfect timing, she said loudly. I was just handling a difficult situation with a customer who doesn't really belong here. Richard didn't look at Amanda. His eyes stayed fixed on the quiet man. He swallowed hard and took a deep breath. Amanda, Richard said in a very quiet voice. What exactly have you been doing? Just maintaining our standards, Amanda said proudly. This man came in dressed like that. She pointed at the customer's simple clothes and tried to act like he belonged with our real customers. I had to put him in his place. Richard's eyes went wide with horror. You put him in his place? Yes, Amanda said, feeling proud of herself. I explained that Stellar Luxe serves important people, rich people, not random guys who wander in off the street. Someone had to tell him the truth. The quiet man watched this conversation with the same calm expression he had worn all day. He didn't seem angry or upset, just patient. Richard started, walking toward the man, but his steps were shaky. He looked like he might fall down. Commander, Richard said in a voice full of respect. I am so sorry. I had no idea you were here today. Amanda blinked. Commander, what was her boss talking about? The quiet man smiled gently at Richard. No need to apologize. I should have called ahead. Commander? Amanda repeated, confused. Mr. Hayes, what are you talking about? Richard turned to look at Amanda, and his face was full of anger. Do you have any idea who you've been talking to? Some random guy who thinks he can shop here, Amanda said, but her voice was less confident now. Something was wrong. Her boss looked really upset. Mrs. Collins, who had been watching everything, suddenly gasped. She stepped closer to the quiet man and stared at his face. Oh, my stars, she whispered. You're him. You're really him. Him who? Amanda demanded. She was getting frustrated. Why was everyone acting so strange? Mrs. Collins pulled out her phone and started typing quickly. After a few seconds, she held up the screen. It showed a news article with a picture. The picture showed the same quiet man, but he was wearing a military uniform covered in medals. The headline read, Hero of Titan Station refuses another award. Amanda looked at the picture, then at the, and then back at the picture. Her stomach started to feel sick. That's impossible, she said weakly. Ben Carter had been watching everything. Now he came over and looked at Mrs. Collins's phone. His mouth fell open. Amanda, Ben said quietly. Do you know who this is? Some guy with a fake ID, Amanda said. But she didn't sound sure anymore. The quiet man spoke for the first time in several minutes. There's no need for all this fuss. I just wanted to buy a watch. His voice was exactly the same as always, calm and polite. But now Amanda was starting to remember where she had heard that voice before. Mrs. Collins was still staring at her phone, reading quickly. It says here that Commander John Matrix saved 3 star systems from the Void Collective invasion. He led the defense of Titan Station for 6 months against impossible odds. Amanda felt dizzy. That name sounded familiar. Very familiar. He coordinated the evacuation of 12 million people, Mrs. Collins continued reading. Single-handedly held off enemy forces while civilian ships escaped. The article says he's the most decorated hero in human space. Richard Hayes was still staring at the commander with great respect. Sir, I cannot apologize enough for what happened here today. This is completely unacceptable. Commander Matrix shook his head. Really, it's fine. The young lady was just doing her job as she understood. No, Richard said firmly. It is not fine. Not at all. More customers had gathered around now. They were all looking at Mrs. Collins' phone, and then at the commander. Whispers started spreading through the store. That's really him. The hero of Titan Station. I can't believe he's here. Amanda felt like the floor was moving under her feet. She grabbed onto a display case to steady herself. That can't be right, she said, but her voice was very small now. He doesn't look like a hero. Mrs. Collins looked up from her phone with anger in her eyes. What exactly does a hero look like, dear? Amanda had no answer for that question. Ben Carter was shaking his head in disbelief. Amanda, this man is famous across the entire galaxy. Every human knows his name, every alien species respects him. But he's wearing regular clothes, Amanda said weakly. Heroes wear uniforms. They act important. Commander Matrix smiled sadly. I find regular clothes more comfortable, and I've never felt very important. Richard Hayes turned to face Amanda fully now. His face was red with anger. Do you understand what you've done? He asked. Do you have any idea how badly you've embarrassed this store? How badly you've embarrassed me? Amanda's hands started shaking. I was just trying to maintain standards. How was I supposed to know? You could have treated him with basic respect, Richard said, like every customer deserves. Instead, you humiliated him in front of other people. Mrs. Collins was still reading from her phone. It says here that after the war, he donated his entire military pension to build schools on damaged planets. He refuses all luxury housing and lives in a simple apartment. Amanda remembered her earlier words about the commander going home to eat basic food in a tiny apartment. She had been making fun of him for exactly the kind of life he had chosen to live. He could live anywhere, Mrs. Collins continued, but he chooses to live simply so more money can go to helping war refugees. The two trader customers were nodding. With respect, one of them stepped forward. Commander Matrix, the trader said, I just wanted to say thank you. My family was on one of the ships you helped evacuate from the Centauri system. The commander nodded politely. I'm glad they made it safely. Because of you, my children are alive today, the trader said with tears in his eyes. Amanda felt like she was going to be sick. She had spent the last hour insulting and humiliating a man who had saved billions of lives. A man who had given up everything to help others. Richard Hayes was not finished with her yet. Amanda Walsh, he said in a cold voice. You are fired, effective immediately. Amanda's world started spinning. Mr. Hayes, please, I didn't know. How could I have known? You could have treated him like a human being, Richard said. Instead, you treated him like garbage because of how he was dressed. Commander Matrix stepped forward. Mr. Hayes, that's not necessary. Really? But Richard shook his head. Yes, it is necessary. This behavior cannot be tolerated in my store. Not toward you, not toward anyone. Amanda looked around desperately. Every person in the store was staring at her. Some looked angry. Some looked disgusted. None looked sympathetic. She had destroyed everything in one terrible hour. Amanda stood in the middle of Stellar Lux feeling like her whole world was falling apart. The quiet man she had spent an hour insulting was Commander John Matrix, the most famous hero in human space. The man who had saved billions of lives. Mrs. Collins was still reading from her phone, sharing more details about the commander's incredible story. Listen to this, she said to the growing crowd of customers. During the Battle of Titan Station, Commander Matrix stayed behind when everyone else evacuated. He held off 3,000 enemy ships with just 50 human fighters. Amanda felt sick to her stomach. She remembered telling him that he didn't belong with important people. How wrong she had been. The enemy had surrounded the station. Mrs. Collins continued reading. All the escape routes were blocked, but Commander Matrix found a way to break through their lines. He saved 12 million civilians that day. Ben Carter was staring at his phone too, reading different articles about the commander. It says here that he fought for 18 hours straight without rest. His fighter ship was damaged, but he kept fighting until every civilian ship was safely away. Richard Hayes looked at Commander Matrix with deep respect. "Sir, I have read about your battles many times. What you did at Titan Station was impossible. No one should have been able to hold off that many enemy ships." Commander Matrix shrugged gently. "We had good people. Everyone did their part." "Good people?" Mrs. Collins looked up from her phone. "The reports say you were completely alone for the last 6 hours of fighting. Your wingmen had all been shot down." "They fought bravely," the commander said quietly. "I was just lucky to survive." Amanda listened to all of this in growing horror. The man she had called a pretender was actually the most humble hero she had ever met. Even now, with everyone praising him, he was giving credit to other people. One of the trader customers stepped forward again. "Commander, my brother was a pilot in that battle. He told me you saved his life 3 times in one day." "Your brother was a good pilot," Commander Matrix replied. "He didn't need much saving. He said you flew into enemy fire to rescue him when his ship was damaged," the trader continued. "You risked your own life for a man you barely knew." Amanda remembered her earlier words about the commander not knowing his place. Now she was learning that his place was as humanity's greatest hero. Mrs. Collins found another article on her phone. "Oh my stars, look at this." After the war ended, Commander Matrix was offered any reward he wanted. Money, land, titles, anything. "What did he choose?" Ben asked. "Nothing," Mrs. Collins said with amazement. "He turned down every reward. Instead, he asked that all the prize money be used to help war orphans." Richard Hayes nodded. "I remember reading about that. The government wanted to give him a palace on Mars. He said he would rather see that money spent on schools." Amanda felt like she was going to cry. She had accused this man of being poor and worthless. In reality, he had given away fortunes to help other people. "There's more," Mrs. Collins said, still reading. "He donated his entire military pension to refugee relief. Every credit he earned during the war went to helping displaced families find new homes." Ben was reading another article. It says here that he personally helped build housing for alien refugees. With his own hands, he spent 2 years doing construction work on damaged planets. Commander Matrix looked embarrassed by all this attention. "Many people helped with that project. I just carried some tools." "You carried tools?" Mrs. Collins stared at him. "The article says you organized the entire reconstruction effort. You coordinated supplies for 50 different worlds." Amanda thought about how she had suggested the commander shop at discount stores. Now she was learning that he actually built homes for people who had lost everything. The 2 trader customers were talking quietly to each other. Then one of them approached Commander Matrix. "Sir, I have to ask you something," the trader said. "My company ships supplies to the outer colonies. We've been delivering to a chain of stores that sell affordable goods to poor families. The owner is listed as J. Matrix. Is that you?" Commander Matrix looked even more embarrassed. "I help run a few stores, nothing special." "Nothing special?" Mrs. Collins looked shocked. "How many stores?" "A few hundred," the commander admitted, quietly. Ben's mouth fell open. "A few hundred stores?" Amanda felt dizzy again. She had mocked the commander for shopping at discount stores. Now she was finding out that he owned hundreds of them. Richard Hayes was staring at Commander Matrix with new understanding. "Those stores, they sell good quality items at very low prices. How do you make any profit?" "We don't try to make much profit," Commander Matrix explained. "The goal is to help families who don't have much money get things they need." Mrs. Collins was typing on her phone again. "I'm looking up these stores. Matrix Family Goods. They're all over the galaxy. The reviews say they sell the best quality items at the lowest prices anywhere." "That's the point," Commander Matrix said simply. Amanda remembered telling him that he should know his place. His place, she now realized, was helping everyone else find theirs. Ben found another article. "Commander, it says here that you refuse all interviews and public appearances. Why is that?" "I don't think what I did was that special," Commander Matrix said. Many people would have done the same thing in my situation. No, Richard Hayes said firmly. No, they would not have. What you did was extraordinary. Most people would have run away. Amanda thought about all the times she had run away from difficult situations. She had never stayed to help anyone. Mrs. Collins was still discovering new information. Listen to this. Commander Matrix has been personally paying for medical care for wounded veterans. Not just human veterans, alien veterans too, from both sides of the war. Both sides? Ben asked, confused. He pays for medical care for former enemies? Mrs. Collins read further. It says here that he believes everyone deserves a chance to heal and start over. Amanda felt like she was learning about a completely different kind of person than she had ever met before. Someone who helped everyone, even people who had fought against him. Commander Matrix looked uncomfortable with all the attention. The war is over. Everyone needs help now. One of the traitors shook his head in amazement. Commander, you're paying for medical care for soldiers who tried to kill you? They were following orders, Commander Matrix said quietly. Just like we were. The war wasn't their fault any more than it was ours. Amanda stared at this man who showed kindness to his former enemies. She had shown him nothing but cruelty, and she had been on his own side. Richard Hayes looked at Amanda with disgust. Do you understand now? Do you see what you've done? Amanda could barely speak. I didn't know. You didn't want to know, Richard said angrily. You judged him by his clothes and decided he wasn't good enough for your attention. Mrs. Collins looked at Amanda with cold eyes. You treated a hero like garbage because he didn't dress fancy enough for you. Ben Carter was shaking his head sadly. Amanda, this man has done more good in his life than all of us combined, and you humiliated him in front of strangers. Amanda looked at Commander Matrix, hoping to see anger in his eyes. Instead, she saw the same calm patience he had shown all day. Even now, after learning what she had done, he didn't look angry at her. That somehow made everything worse. Amanda stood in the middle of Stellar Lux, watching her career fall apart piece by piece. The other customers were still talking about Commander Matrix and his amazing deeds. Each new story made Amanda feel smaller and more ashamed. Richard Hayes walked over to her with anger burning in his eyes. Amanda Walsh, you are finished here. Pack your things and leave my store immediately. Mr. Hayes, please, Amanda begged. I made a mistake. I didn't know who he was. Give me another chance. Another chance? Richard's voice got louder. You spent an hour insulting the most respected man in the galaxy. You humiliated him in front of my customers. You embarrassed my business. Amanda looked around desperately for support. Ben Carter was staring at the floor, refusing to meet her eyes. Mrs. Collins was shaking her head with disgust. The two traitors were whispering to each other and pointing at her. I was just doing my job, Amanda said weakly. I was trying to maintain standards. Your job, Richard said coldly, is to treat every customer with respect. Rich or poor, famous or unknown, well-dressed or casual, that's what good service means. Commander Matrix stepped forward. Mr. Hayes, please don't fire her because of me. Everyone makes mistakes. But Richard shook his head firmly. No, Commander, this isn't about you. This is about basic human decency, something Miss Walsh clearly doesn't understand. Amanda felt tears starting in her eyes. Please, Mr. Hayes, I need this job. I can't afford to be unemployed. You should have thought about that before you decided to be cruel to a customer, Richard said. Get your personal items from the back room and leave. Security will escort you out if necessary. Mrs. Collins pulled out her phone again. I'm recording this conversation. People need to know what kind of person works in luxury stores. No, please don't, Amanda said, reaching toward the phone. Don't record this. Why not? Mrs. Collins asked. You had no problem making a public spectacle when you were attacking the commander. Now you want privacy? Ben Carter finally looked up. Amanda, I can't believe you did this. Commander Matrix is a hero to everyone in human space. How could you treat him so badly? I didn't know, Amanda repeated. How was I supposed to know? You weren't supposed to know, Ben said with disappointment. You were supposed to be polite to every customer. That's basic customer service. One of the trader customers spoke up. Miss, I've been shopping in expensive stores across the galaxy for 20 years. I've never seen anyone treat a customer the way you treated him. He wasn't dressed properly, Amanda said, trying to defend herself. He looked out of place. So what? The other trader asked. Since when does clothing determine how someone should be treated? Amanda had no good answer for that question. Mrs. Collins was typing on her phone. I'm posting this story on social media. People need to know what happened here today. Please don't, Amanda begged. This will ruin my reputation. Your reputation? Mrs. Collins laughed, but it wasn't a kind laugh. What about the commander's reputation? You tried to ruin that by calling him names in public. Richard Hayes crossed his arms. Miss Walsh, I want you to understand something. Commander Matrix's business is worth more to this store than your entire salary for 10 years. Amanda felt confused. His business? He's been a customer here for 3 years, Richard explained. He buys gifts for the children at his refugee centers. Toys, clothes, books. He spends hundreds of thousands of credits every year. Amanda's mouth fell open. He's been shopping here for 3 years? Every month, Richard said. Always polite, always respectful, never demanding special treatment. The perfect customer. Ben Carter nodded. I helped him once last year. He bought gifts for 500 children. Never mentioned who he was. Just wanted to make sure the kids would be happy. Amanda remembered telling Commander Matrix that he wasn't a real customer. In truth, he was probably their best customer. Mrs. Collins looked up from her phone. This story is already being shared. People are angry about how you treated him. Amanda felt panic rising in her chest. How many people have seen it? Thousands already, Mrs. Collins said, and growing fast. Everyone loves Commander Matrix. They're not happy about this. One of the traders showed Amanda his phone. Look, it's spreading across the trader networks too. Every merchant in the galaxy is going to know what you did. Amanda stared at the screen. Comments were pouring in from across human space. People were calling her terrible names. They were saying she should never work in customer service again. This is ruining my life, Amanda whispered. You ruined it. Yourself, Richard said without sympathy. You chose to be cruel to someone who didn't deserve it. Ben Carter was reading comments on his own phone. Amanda, people are really angry. They're saying you're everything that's wrong with humanity. That's not fair, Amanda protested. I made one mistake. One mistake? Mrs. Collins stared at her. You spent an hour attacking an innocent man. That wasn't a mistake, that was a choice. Commander Matrix had been quiet during this whole conversation. Now he spoke up again. Really, this is enough, he said gently. The young lady has learned her lesson. There's no need to destroy her life over this. But the damage was already done. Amanda's phone started buzzing with notifications. People were finding her personal social media accounts and leaving angry messages. Richard Hayes handed Amanda a box. Your personal items. Security will walk you to the door. Amanda took the box with shaking hands. Inside were her coffee mug, a few photos, and some makeup she kept at work. 3 years of her career reduced to a small cardboard box. What am I going to do? She asked, more to herself than anyone else. You're going to learn from this, Commander Matrix said quietly. You're going to become a better person. Amanda looked at him with confusion. Even after everything she had done, he was still being kind to her. Why aren't you angry at me? She asked. Commander Matrix smiled sadly. Being angry won't help either of us, but maybe this experience will help you understand how to treat people better in the future. Richard Hayes wasn't as forgiving. Miss Walsh, I'll be calling other store owners in this district. They need to know what kind of employee you are. Amanda felt her heart sink even lower. You're going to blacklist me? I'm going to tell them the truth, Richard said. What they do with that information is up to them. Mrs. Collins looked up from her phone again. The story is going viral now. Major news networks are picking it up. Amanda realized that her humiliation of Commander Matrix was about to become galactic news. Everyone would know what she had done. The security guard arrived. At that moment, a large man in a black uniform who looked at Amanda with obvious disapproval. "Time to go, miss," he said firmly. Amanda looked one last time at Commander Matrix. He was watching her with those same calm, patient eyes. Even now, there was no hatred in his expression. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He nodded gently. "I know you are." Then the security guard escorted her out of Stellar Lux forever. 3 weeks after being fired from Stellar Lux, Amanda Walsh sat in her small apartment watching the news. The story of her encounter with Commander Matrix had spread across the entire galaxy. Every day brought new articles about what she had done. The headlines were all terrible. "Saleswoman humiliates galaxy's greatest hero." "The face of human arrogance." "Why some humans have forgotten their values." Amanda had tried to find another job, but no one would hire her. Every luxury store in Neo Angeles knew her name. When she applied to regular shops, they recognized her from the viral videos. Even fast food restaurants turned her away. Her savings were almost gone. She would have to move back in with her parents soon. At 32 years old, her career was completely destroyed. The worst part wasn't the job loss or the money problems. The worst part was reading the comments from people across human space. They were ashamed of her. They said she represented everything wrong with their species. Amanda turned up the volume on her television. The evening news was starting, and the main story was about Commander Matrix again. Today, Commander John Matrix visited the Children's Hospital on Luna Station, the reporter said. He brought gifts for 200 young patients from 12 different alien species. The camera showed Commander Matrix walking through hospital wards. He was wearing the same simple clothes he had worn to Stellar Lux. Plain shirt, old jeans, worn boots. But now Amanda saw those clothes differently. She watched him sit beside a small alien child whose planet had been destroyed in the war. The child couldn't speak human language, but Commander Matrix had learned a few words in the alien tongue. The little one's face lit up when the commander spoke to him in his own language. Commander Matrix has been visiting hospitals like this one every week for the past 5 years. The reporter continued. He pays for toys and medical equipment out of his own pocket. Amanda remembered calling him a pretender who didn't belong with important people. On her television screen, she could see that he belonged with the most important people of all, sick children who needed hope. The news report continued. When asked about the recent incident at a luxury store on Neo Angeles, Commander Matrix had this to say. The camera focused on the commander's face. Amanda had seen that calm expression many times during their encounter. Now she understood that his calmness came from genuine peace, not arrogance. Everyone deserves a second chance, Commander Matrix said to the reporter. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we learn from them and how we grow. Amanda felt tears in her eyes. Even after what she had done to him, he was defending her right to be treated fairly. The reporter asked another question. Commander, some people are calling for the saleswoman to be banned from ever working in retail again. What do you think about that? Commander Matrix shook his head gently. I think punishment should help people become better, not destroy their lives completely. This young woman made a mistake, but she's still a human being who deserves compassion. Amanda turned off the television and sat in silence. Here was a man who had every right to be angry with her, and instead he was asking people to show her mercy. Over the following days, Amanda started thinking about what Commander Matrix had said. Everyone deserves a second chance. What was she going to do with hers? She began volunteering at a local refugee center. The work was hard and didn't pay anything, but it felt important. She helped families who had lost everything find new homes. She taught human language to alien children. She sorted donations and prepared meals. At first, the other volunteers were suspicious of her. They had all seen the viral videos. But slowly, as weeks passed, they began to see that she was trying to change. One day, while Amanda was teaching, reading to a group of young aliens, her supervisor approached her. Amanda, said Lisa Chen, the center director. "There's someone here to see you." Amanda looked up from the children's books she was organizing. Standing in the doorway was Commander Matrix. She felt her face go red with embarrassment. "Commander, I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," he replied with a gentle smile. "I heard you were volunteering here. I wanted to see how you were doing." Amanda gestured around the room full of refugee children. "I'm trying to help. It's not much, but it's something." Commander Matrix nodded approvingly. "It's very much something. These children need people who care about them." Lisa Chen joined their conversation. "Amanda has been wonderful with the kids. She's patient and kind. Very different from what I expected after seeing those news reports." "People can change," Commander Matrix said, looking at Amanda with respect. "Growth is what makes us human." Amanda felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Hope. "Commander," she said quietly, "I want you to know how sorry I am. Not just because you're famous, but because I was cruel to another person. That was wrong no matter who you were." "I know you're sorry," Commander Matrix replied. "More importantly, you're doing something about it. That takes real courage." Over the following months, Amanda threw herself into volunteer work. She organized fundraisers for the refugee center. She learned basic medical skills to help in the center's clinic. She even started teaching other volunteers about treating people with respect, regardless of their appearance or background. The viral videos were still online, but slowly, new stories began to emerge. Stories about Amanda's volunteer work, stories about her growth and change. 1 year after the incident at Stellar Lux, Amanda received an unexpected phone call. "Miss Walsh, this is Dr. Sarah Kim from the Galactic Relief Organization. We have a paid position available coordinating refugee services. Your volunteer supervisor recommended you highly." Amanda almost dropped the phone. "A real job? Even after everything?" "Especially after everything," Dr. Kim said. "We need people who understand the importance of treating everyone with dignity. Your volunteer work shows that you've learned that lesson." Amanda accepted the job gratefully. It didn't pay as much as Stellar Lux had, but it was meaningful work that helped people who really needed it. On her first day at the new job, Amanda found a package on her desk. Inside was a simple note and a small gift. The note read, "Congratulations on your new position. The galaxy needs more people who choose to grow from their mistakes. Keep being human. JM." The gift was a watch. Not expensive like the one Commander Matrix had bought at Stellar Lux, but simple and practical. Perfect for someone who had learned that true value comes from character, not cost. Amanda put on the watch and smiled. She had lost everything because of her cruelty and arrogance. But in losing everything, she had found something much more valuable. She had found her humanity. The same humanity that made people across the galaxy respect humans not for their weapons or their technology, but for their capacity to grow, to change, and to show compassion even to those who had wronged them. That was the human way. And finally, Amanda understood what it meant